Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'du fa'uzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. This is study number 29 of the Ramadan Daily Quran Studies for the year 2023, compiled by Zahid Aziz for the Anjuman Ishaat Islam, Lahore, UK. The topic of this study 29 continues with life after death and shows that it begins in this world. According to the Holy Quran, the heavenly life for the good and the life in hell for the wicked is not a mystery beyond the grave, but begins in this very life. The Holy Quran says, وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ جَنَّتَانِ. The translation is, and for him who fears to stand before his Lord are two gardens. Chapter 55, verse 46. The two gardens are a garden in this life and a garden in the hereafter. The garden of this life is the spiritual bliss which the righteous find here in the doing of good. In another place, the Quran says, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainna turji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan marziya fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati. The translation is, O soul who is at rest, return to your Lord, well pleased with him, well pleasing him. So enter among my servants and enter my garden. Chapter 89, verses 27 to 30. That soul is addressed here which has already found contentment in this world. It is directed at the time of death to return to its Lord, being well pleased with God during its life on earth, and having well pleased God. It is then made to enter into the garden of the next life. That garden is a reflection of the contentment the soul already found in this world by performing good deeds. The light of guidance that a person followed in this world becomes a visible light for him in the next world. Consider this verse. أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ كَمَنْ مَثَلُهُ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ لَيْسَ بِخَارِجٍ مِنْهَا. The translation is he who was dead? Then we raised him to life and made for him a light by which he walks among the people. Is he like him, whose likeness is that of one in darkness, from which he cannot come forth? Chapter 6, verse 122. This verse refers to a spiritually dead person in this life who finds the light of right guidance and leads his life according to it. This is what is meant by walks among the people, that he leads his life according to that light. Then, about the life after death, the Quran says this. يَوْمَ تَرَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَسْعَىٰ نُورُهُمْ بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَبِأَيْمَانِهِمْ بُشْرَاكُمُ الْيَوْمَ جَنَّاتٌ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ. The translation is, on that day you will see the believers, men and women, their light gleaming before them and on their right hand. Good news for you this day. Gardens in which rivers flow, to abide in them. That is the mighty achievement. Chapter 57 verse 12. This verse says that in the next life, the righteous, both men and women, will be seen with a light in front of them and on their right hands. This is the same light that led them during their earthly life, but which will become visible as a light in the next life. Likewise, regarding the wrongdoers, the Quran says, وَمَنْ كَانَ فِي هَٰذِهِ أَعْمَىٰ فَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ أَعْمَىٰ وَأَضَلُّ سَبِيلًا. The translation is, and whoever is blind in this world, he will be blind in the hereafter and further away from the path. Chapter 17 verse 72. That is to say, those who remain spiritually blind in this life, blind to truth and right guidance, will find they have no sight in the next life. It is a deflection of the same blindness. And regarding the fire of hell, the Quran says, Narullahil muqadatul lati tattali'u alal afida, meaning it is the fire kindled by Allah which rises over the hearts. Chapter 104 verses 6 and 7. The fire which burns within the heart of a person in this life, by, for example, love of wealth, it becomes the fire of hell in the next life. Thus, the blessings of paradise and the torments of hell of the next life do not come from somewhere outside. These are all the unfolding of the spiritual condition that a person developed in this life due to his or her good or bad deeds. What you will see there is what you already had here, but here you could not see it in its full clarity. According to the Quran, within an individual in this life, a spiritual body is prepared according to his deeds. The deeds are preserved or written down. The Quran says, كَلَّا بَلْ تُكَذِّبُونَ بِالدِّينِ وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ لَحَافِظِينَ كِرَامًا كَاتِبِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ, meaning, no, but you call the judgment a lie, and surely there are keepers over you, honorable recorders, they know what you do. Chapter 82 verses 9 to 12. Then we have Ma yalfizu min qawlin illa ladayhi raqibun atid, meaning he utters not a word, but there is by him a watcher at hand. Chapter 50 verse 18. The Quran speaks of a book in which deeds are recorded. It says, Haza kitabuna yantiqu alaykum bilhaq inna kunna nastansikhu ma kuntum ta'malun, meaning this is our record or kitab that speaks against you with truth. Surely we wrote what you did. Chapter 45 verse 29. It is not meant, of course, that there will be a physical book, a collection of pages. The word kitab does not always mean a book as such. Sometimes it signifies the knowledge of God. A study of the verses in which the recording of actions or the book of deeds is mentioned leads to the conclusion that it is the effect produced by those actions that is called the book. For instance, it says, وَكُلَّ إِنسَانٍ أَلْزَمْنَاهُ طَائِرَهُ فِي عُنُقِهِ وَنُخْرِجُ لَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ كِتَابًا يَلْقَاهُ مَنْشُورًا, Ikra kitabaka kafa binafsikal yawma alayka hasiba. The translation of which is, and we have made every human being's actions to cling to his neck, and we shall bring forth to him on the day of resurrection or the day of judgment a book which he will find open. Read your book. Your own soul is sufficient as a reckoner against you this day. Chapter 17 verses 13 and 14. Making the actions cling to the doer's neck is clearly to cause the effect of the actions to appear on the person concerned. In other words, all actions, good or bad, leave their impression on man. An inner self of man is being prepared in this life. That inner self is really his book of deeds, a book in which is noted down the effect of every deed done. The effect of those deeds becomes so clear and manifest on the day of judgment that no outside reckoning is needed. It is the person himself who reads his own book. That is to say, he sees all his actions in the marks left on him and judges himself, because the reckoning has already appeared in his own self. This is the end of study 29. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quran al-Azim wa nafa'na wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim. Innahu ta'ala jawadun karimun malikum barur rahim.